Hey, welcome to Rocky Mountain National Park. I'm Amy, your ranger guide for Moose, our new neighbors. So just a quick show of hands, how many people have gone to a new location? Right, a lot of us have. So when we go to a new location, we have to adapt to it by figuring out where the grocery stores and the schools and work are. And then it adapts to us based on where we spend our time and our money and our friends that we make. And then the environment adapts to us based on maybe landscaping or where we choose to go hiking and the impact we have on that. So, like us, the moose are our new neighbors, and they've had to adapt to a new location, and we've had to adapt to them, and they've had to adapt to the environment. So, most people don't realize that moose came to Colorado in 1978 when the Colorado Fish and Wildlife brought 12 moose from Utah, and the following year they brought 12 more from Wyoming. And now we have almost 3,000 moose. So the moose have really taken off in Colorado, and a lot of people come here with the idea that they're going to see moose, when 30 years ago they wouldn't have. So the moose are our new neighbors, and they had to adapt to our new location. And they've done really well here in the valley. I'm sure a lot of you have seen them already. They have a lot of natural food here. They have our willows and our aspens and aquatic plants. They don't have any natural predators. We don't have any wolves or grizzlies, and hunters aren't allowed here. And we have a nice cool climate for them. They get really hot with their hollow fur that insulates them, so we have water to keep them cool, and our temperatures during the winter are perfect for them. And so they've adapted really well, and you might see quite a few moose here. In that regard, we're trying to educate our community on how best to interact with these animals. One thing that we try to educate everybody on is that dogs are seen as wolves to moose, and therefore often set off a predator-prey relationship with moose. And so we really encourage people with dogs to keep them on a leash in moose territory, as well as to, in the park, to keep them off of the backcountry and keep them where cars are so that we don't disturb the moose. And so we're really trying to work with the moose and be good neighbors to them. And finally, we're trying to see how they've affected our environment. We're standing right here next to this enclosure, which is one of many throughout the park, where you can see this thick, lush willow and aspen forest that's growing behind us. Talking to all the rangers who have been here for 30 or more years, they talk about how the valley itself was covered in this vegetation before. So what happened? So they talk about all the beaver that were here. And the beaver helped create a circle cycle of the environment. So the beaver would build dams, and that would increase the water table, which would create a wetland, which the aspens and willows enjoyed, and then the beaver would eat and use the aspens and the willows. If anyone remembers, that's the same food that moose really enjoy. So when the moose came in and ate all the willows and aspens, the beaver moved out, and now our willows and aspens are struggling. So one of the things we're really looking at is how much impact the moose are having so that we can best work with them moving forward. So I want you to just close your eyes for a minute and get a vision of what this valley could have been 30 years ago. Thick and dense with vegetation and different animals and a lot of different species. And then I want you to open your eyes and look at this wide open space where you can easily see the moose and the elk and the river. And hold those two images in your head. Does anyone have any comments or thoughts about those two different images? So yeah, the moose have been kind of a mixed bag for us. They've adapted really well. We're trying to adapt to them, and they're making an impact on our environment. And so one of the studies that we're doing is to try to see how we can best work with the moose moving forward to create the best environment for the visitors in 30 more years. So I challenge you when you go home to pay attention to the animals in your neighborhood to see how you're affecting them and how they're affecting you. Because at some point, we all have to learn how to best deal with new neighbors.